Should I tell you all how this came about? I think a couple of years had gone past attending Rameshji's satsangs, and this teaching of Advaita, this precious teaching, it became like a new lens in my eye. I started seeing life through this prism, everything. So when I got my copy of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and I have a habit of underlining in a very neat way with a scale and a pencil sentences which appeal to me so I can reread them. And when I finished reading the Gospel, which is a delightfully big book, it's delightful because one doesn't want it to end. When I reread all that I had underlined, what struck me was that whatever I underlined was connected to non-doership, largely, in one way or another. When I was working with Rameshji on his book Peace and Harmony in Daily Living, which incidentally, for us, I think we have published about 6 or 7 of his books, Yogi Impressions, has been the best-selling title amongst these. In this book, there were references to Ramakrishna. And when I would go for a cup of tea, I would often do that in the evenings to discuss aspects of the book while I was editing it with him. I would see how his whole being would become bright when he talked about Ramakrishna. It was as if Ramakrishna Dev's ecstasy was flowing through Rameshji. So what I thought was, since I've underlined parts of Gospel connected to non-doership, why not bring a small book out with these excerpts? And that is again how a small, crisp book called Ramakrishna on non-doership, which is just extracts from Gospel, came about. And I'd like to read a couple of these quotations of Ramakrishna's. I don't know much about what is good and what is bad. I do what God makes me do and speak what He makes me speak. So simple. Now, whom should we call the Siddha? He who has the absolute conviction that God exists and is the sole doer. He who has seen God. That is Ramakrishna's definition of Siddha. This line was for me a reconfirmation of what I thought about the characteristics of an enlightened being. Ramakrishna says in the Gospel, you have a very fine nature. There are 2 characteristics of knowledge: a peaceful nature and absence of pride. You see why for me this was important. It reaffirmed to me the aspect of peace. There are some spiritual traditions who think peace is kindergarten stuff. It's the beginner's level. I have come across this very often in my journey. But when I have read masters like Ramana Maharshi saying, the state of equanimity is the state of bliss, and someone like Ramakrishna Dev says, a peaceful nature, it boils down to just that. This is reflected in my daily living. Am I at peace? at peace with others, at peace with the events in my life, and am I at peace with myself? And this absence of pride, which my own teacher would say, when he was asked, how do I know a sage is a sage? He said, I don't know the answer to that, but I will tell you when a sage is not a sage. When there is an absence of humility, that person is not a sage. So that was the negative way. Exactly Ramakrishna's words. Because pride is based on doership. And I have seen this. A phrase which I had heard many years ago, the arrogance of the intellect. When people put down that life cannot be just about finding peace, it's too basic. But only one who has discovered peace of mind in daily living will truly know whether it is basic or whether it is the all and everything.